Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel outside the target demographic. Today I'm going to be showing you a hidden menu in your Gen 4 Subaru Forester infotainment system. Let's get started. So let's do an overview on how I have the car set up and why I have it set up that way. My dashboard is an analog one. I don't want a touchscreen. I don't need a 14.7389-inch wide display that tells me how fast the car is going. This is mechanical. If the cable is spinning, I have an analog gauge showing me what my car is doing. That is my preference. I'm 36. I'm not a get off my yard, but I like the technology in my phones. I don't need it in my car. I need a car that functions. So I, for one, appreciate the analog, some would say antiquated, display for my dashboard. Next up, we have the information screen. This guy you can cycle through and do a couple of different displays. I like this one because, being a nerd, I like having numbers and I like having real-time data, and I like getting about 29 average fuel efficiency miles per gallons out of this car. All-wheel drive, 3,500-pound station wagon, getting almost 30 miles per gallon. Outstanding. The last thing we have is the infotainment display. The infotainment system is useless in the Subaru. It doesn't have the bells and whistles, and I honestly don't need it to. You'll notice right here, I can put my phone, and that is my infotainment system, my navigation system, my media system, my sound player, my blah, 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 blah. It's all right there. So honestly, I don't need this to do too much. Based on that, you will notice that this display is a little dimmer than the other two. That's controlled by this guy right here. So as I roll this down, you'll notice the displays dim, including this one here. And as I roll it up, the displays will get brighter, except for my center console. If I go to my brightest bright, you can now see the infotainment system. Okay, so all that was foreplay. Let's get into the action. The reason I have that set up is I would rather have the least amount of distractions while driving as possible. I do not use anything in here. I use this. Is it on? Is it off? Is it at an acceptable volume? That is all I need. My Bluetooth automatically pairs. I don't navigate or use this display too much. So I'd rather kill it. In order to kill it, what I've done is, if you go into your settings, let me bump up the brightness, ironically, you'll go down to your display button, and I have my brightness set to 0. Okay. So while driving and while sitting here, the glare is substantial for you. It's a lot less for me, based on my angle and the fact that my eyes are not a camera. I can still see that. Okay. If I need to, all I have to do is reach over and flip that dial once. Okay. So now the problem becomes, what if I do use this display for the one thing it is good for and shift into reverse to get my backup camera? Well, you'll notice that that's nice and bright. So here's in reverse. Here's in neutral. Reverse, neutral. So how is it that this is dim, but backing up is plenty bright? This black bar, check surroundings before backing up. If you tap here, it unlocks this display. You can activate a delay where, once you shift out of reverse and have been moving and go into gear, it will keep this display up. I think it's 5, 7, 10, a short duration of time, but it gives you a little bit better situational awareness of what's going on behind you. The display adjustment, I have the brightness set to max, and that will only activate when I am in reverse. So if I go into neutral, or first, or second, or third, or fourth, or fifth, or sixth gear, the display will be in this mode, the dimmest it can be. If I go into reverse, it will override that and give me the brightest screen so that I can see what's going on. This is very handy for me and my OCD, maybe for yours. Driving up here in Cleveland, Ohio, we're pretty far north. I have argued before and will argue again. I cannot move further north without leaving the country. it gets pretty dark during the winter, and it gets pretty dark pretty early. So I don't need a emission of the surface of the sun blinding me from a 5-inch by 9-inch display. I need to be able to see that information when I need to see it, and only when I need to see it. So by overriding the settings, again, go into settings, go into display, set it to your lowest brightness. It should be the least distracting to you, but I don't have to go here, go into home, go into setting, go into the brightness. All I have to do, again, is spin that dial, and I get access to all the things without the hindrance of not being able to see my backup camera because I set it to the dimmest setting. So that's what I've got. It is a behind the scenes menu. Even if you don't have it set up for dimmest at all times until you're backing up, you still can make any kind of color adjustments to make the image pop a little better or provide a more realistic coloration of what's going on behind you. You can increase the sharpness, the contrast, the brightness, all the things. So regardless of if you have this set up for daytime cruising with the ability to be able to see the backup camera when and if you need to, that hidden menu is still pretty helpful to those of you who may need it. Lastly, you'll notice I put a little piece of silver tape here. While I do have a answer button right here on the steering wheel, should I choose, being right-handed, I prefer to interact with my right hand. So right above this silver button is going to be my answer call button. So even though my display is not on and I can't necessarily see the button, I went ahead and put a index where if I have my finger right there and bump it, I'll be able to answer the phone call and handle that call. So I hope that insight was helpful to some of you and didn't lower your opinion of me for the rest of you. Learn about your car, how it works, what can be adjusted, and if those adjustments will benefit you. And that's one less distraction you have while trying to operate a 3,500-pound land missile at 70 miles an hour while interacting with a bunch of people who may be of lesser skill set than yourself. So make the car work for you instead of against you. As always, this is outside the target demographic. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Any questions, comments, concerns you have, go ahead and leave them in the comments section below, and I will catch you guys in the next video.